Hey, what's going on there, folks? Good evening. It is the Earthmaster back here on this Thursday night, April 18th or 13th. Getting way ahead of myself here. 2023. It's about 10:36 p.m. along the West Coast in the state of California. Looking at the latest earthquake activity, shows a 2.7 here around the Turkey area. They're in the green flag. All right, let's go ahead and check out what's going on here across the world as far as earthquake activity goes. Of course, we did have that 6.0 come into the region just shy of the Cascadia subduction zone earlier this morning, about 9 o'clock or so. That originally came in as a 6.2, downgraded slightly to a 6.0, fairly shallow there at about 7.3 kilometers deep. It is within the I'd say about the Explorer Plate area. Again, well west of the Cascadia subduction zone. And if you guys remember, last night I was kind of chatting about the tremor uptick here along the Cascadia, specifically in this area, and to potentially watch for some further movement out here. And sure enough, we did see that kick off here this morning. Most of the tremor activity here over the past couple days has been confined up here to the Seattle area. So I assume that's where the stress is building currently, not only along the Cascadia, but also offshore into those separate plates. Now, there's a couple different plate systems out there, or faults, or I shouldn't say faults, but little plates, micro plates. A lot of people just call it the Juan de Fuca plate. But in fact, there's three separate plates out here: the Gorda plate, the Juan de Fuca plate, and the Explorer plate. That's all pretty much being subducted here to the east underneath the North American plate region, and kind of kicking up. Definitely showing some uptick here across the area. And that 6-pointer definitely not abnormal, but we don't see too much earthquake activity out there. I do want to look here real quick and see what we have far as. We're just going to go 6.0 and above for this specific area. Just want to see what we've had here since about 2000. The year 2000, very interesting year. And we're going to draw a rectangle or square, whatever, a star out here on the map. And we're going to check out the region of the... Let's see if that will cover it. I believe it will. Let me double check here real quick, make sure we got that right. The area covered. I'm not seeing the plate tectonic fault lines out here. So it looks like that's about right. Maybe a little bit further north. Okay, we'll try that. I want to see what's out here historically. Specifically in this region where we've seen the 6-pointer today. Our last 6-pointer looks like it was back in... specifically for this area, back in 2018, we had a 6.5, roughly within about 5 miles or so within that same area that we've seen the 6-pointer today. Prior to that, 6.8 out there in 2018 as well, on the same date. Actually, if you look, there's 3 earthquakes that occurred on that same date within hours of each other, 6.5, 6.8, and a 6.5. Within that same region. So not for sure if these come in pairs or threes, but looks like it can happen out there. Again, this is in a segment of the looks like the Explorer plate area. Far as let's see here, we had one back in 2019, a little bit further north up into the Explorer plate, 6.3. So as you can see, it does happen, just not super common. Let's see what else we got here. Let's check out, go back to the tremor map here real quick. I want to see what we have. 480 epicenters of tremor, mostly confined here to the Seattle area, and I believe firmly that this is pretty much a start of an elevated tremor uptick here. Since about the, looks like it kicked up on the 4th of March. It's just been kind of going up here with a Oh, that goes back a little bit further. This goes back to about the 30th of March. So it looks like it kicked up on the 4th of April. Excuse me, I meant to say April. With a total tally of, looks like 3,342 epicenters of tremor, and mostly up here around the Seattle area. This is very common to see this every, about every 14 months or so. And kind of looks like that's kicking up here. As you can see on the spike area here towards the end of the graph, shows that elevated activity. So this should probably continue for the next few days or so. Very common to see these events take place here about every 14 months or so in this specific area. But also at the same time, need to watch for some potential stress and buildup out here along the Cascadia and the subsequent areas to the west within those regions. There's a whole bunch of info on this Juan de Fuca plate, the Gorda plate, the Explorer plate. A lot of technical information if you want to dig into it. I'm not going to do that tonight, but a lot of history out there in terms of the Cascadia subduction zone. And by the way, last big earthquake was back in 1700. They believe it was a 9.0, possibly greater. That triggered a Pacific-wide tsunami. All right, let's see what we got out here. I've seen this earthquake pop up. Don't normally see too much earthquake activity here. Around the Adams Center, New York area, 2.6 coming in. Looks like about 6 kilometers deep. It has been reviewed, so it looks like it is standing. Doesn't look like there's any felt reports right now, but again, this just came in here about 15 minutes or so to the New York area. Looks like there was another earthquake up here around the Canada area, 2.3. Earlier this morning, about 7 o'clock or so, 2.3. All right, let's see what else we got here for the California area up here around Lake Shasta. This lake up here is getting full. Could have something to do with some earthquake activity, right? It's good to see the lake getting up there where it should be. 1.7 coming in earlier near Shasta Lake. Very close to the lake here, though. About 4.4 kilometers deep. And a little scattered activity across the Sierra Nevada and Nevada region. But around the Clear Lake volcanic field, looks like things are slowly tapering off here. Got about 48 earthquakes in the last 24 hours. Quite the downgrade compared to what we've seen here yesterday and the day before following that 4-pointer. So things are somewhat mellow. Looks like they did have almost another 4-pointer after midnight, a little bit further south here. Again, this is all associated with the Calpine hydrothermal operations, and there's many of these hydrothermal plants within the vicinity of all of these earthquakes, and there's a huge process involved. One of these nights we'll go over their process, but if you're kind of curious about it, I would look it up. The Calpine hydrothermal operations out there, pretty crazy what they're doing. All right, let's move on here. Bay Area fairly quiet. A little bit of swarming going on here around the creeping segment near Pinnacles. That's the San Andreas Fault area. Looks like the last one here was a 2.7, about 4 o'clock or so this afternoon. One earthquake well off the coast near Lopez Point, 2.5, 9.8 kilometers deep. We don't see too much activity out here. Let's see if this has been reviewed. It's still underneath automatic status, so this could be technically a phantom earthquake and not legit. We've seen it a little bit too often out here in California lately, so it may not be a real earthquake taking place down there. The San Andreas Fault in Southern California, relatively quiet for the most part. I don't think we've seen anything above the 2.5 threshold. This is a 2.5 map and above, pretty quiet. So most of the movement here, very small microquake activity out here today. Across the areas of Texas, Pecos, Texas area, getting in on some earthquake activity out there in the the fields. Oklahoma as well. We got one earthquake out here in an odd region of Texas. I don't recall too much earthquake activity happening up here, close to the border. Carrizo Springs, it looks like 3.0, 6.6 kilometers deep. Kind of curious about this, so let's zoom in and see what we have. I see out here further south, there is many, kind of times that by 100 or so, oil fields and wastewater disposal facilities. That's what these things are. There's a very close-up shot of it from the USGS map here, and this earthquake activity struck, just to the west. I'm kind of curious to see what's going on directly near that earthquake. Yeah, definitely within feet of that earthquake epicenter. There's some, looks like some type of operations going on out here. I don't see any specific, well, there's some type of wastewater pond right there. That's a given. Either way, it looks like some of these areas to the south here in Texas are getting hit with some earthquake activity. Eventually, all these regions that have, oil pumping operations and wastewater disposal wells will get hit with earthquake activity. It's just given with the plate stress out here along the North American plate. It's not going to go away. Some of these earthquakes could get bigger as they progress across the region of Texas and Oklahoma and Kansas, wherever else there's those oil pumping operations. All right, let's see here. What else do we have? Down here in the Baja Gulf of California, there we go. 4.9 coming in, it looks like earlier this morning, about 10 o'clock or so, into that area. Puerto Rico, got a few earthquakes popping off here. Nothing major. Looks like that swarm is continuing here around the southwestern edge of Puerto Rico for now. A little scattered activity across here, across the troughs and the trench areas. But again, no major uptick. Let's see what we got here for the earthquake 3D globe. Middle America Trench up here to the north definitely showing some elevated movement. You guys see all those fours? There's at least 4 that I can count on here. And it looks like USGS only reporting 1 of the 4s there on the globe, a 4.5 earlier this evening, just off the coast of El Salvador. But this is into the Middle America Trench, which plays a major part in some damaging earthquakes. As you can see, much more than just one earthquake out here on the map. So this is the EMSC model combined. South America earthquake activity. So only one earthquake? Well, just double check that and see what's going on down here. South America, 1 earthquake. All right, well, 1 earthquake within that threshold of the USGS 4.5 and above. Got quite a few 3s out there. Some deeper movement quakes as well. Looks like around the Chile area. New Zealand, looks like that's lighting up here around the north and south area of New Zealand. Nothing showing up here across the USGS map, but we will check out the GeoNet servers here for New Zealand and kind of see what's going on here. Looks like a felt earthquake, 2.9 here near the this area. I'll let you guys do the bidding on that. North Island, New Zealand, also 2.2, 2.3. Looks like there's some type of swarming going on here within that area. Quite a few 2s kicking off. You guys see that? Almost every single earthquake here listed on that map is within that zone. Looks like right down here. Got quite a few earthquakes popping up here. Looks like maybe 10 or so. Looks like the largest was a 3.2. Let's see what we got for the earthquake drums. That should give us a better indicator of what's going on, specifically within that region A lot of it doesn't look like it's showing up. Looks like maybe this station right here is the closest, showing some of that earthquake activity. So yeah, definitely some type of swarming going on there within that area. Also, a little bit of movement down off the Alpine Fault, South Island, New Zealand. Looks like some threes kicking off there potentially as well. Slight uptick definitely being observed across New Zealand over the last 24 hours. Fiji area, got a pair of deep earthquakes here across the area. That leaves the Solomon Islands area wide open for potential movement. Did have a little bit of swarming here around the Papua New Guinea area. Looks like a couple earthquakes here in the New Guinea area. 5.2, the latest one earlier this evening. 31 kilometers deep on the north side. Over here around the Philippine Trench, a couple fours coming in, it looks like, and even a 5.1. Got some previous earthquake activity in here as well, and some newer movement up around Taiwan. The Japan area, looks like a 4.7 coming in earlier this evening, or afternoon, I should say. Let's see what we got up north here. Well, is that going to be that earthquake? Let's see here. Oops. Wrong image. Yeah, so that's going to be a 4.7 here along the Kuril-Kamchatka Trench. Looks like about, let's see how deep that is. 55 kilometers or so into that area. Somewhat shallow. We have been seeing some deeper movement quakes up here. And no doubt we are expecting some further large-scale movement here eventually. Just a matter of time. Let's see here. The Java Trench area was showing some movement earlier. Looks like a couple twos, but that has since come to a stop. Complete halt here. So we'll watch for some further back building of earthquake activity. If not, some forward progress here around the plate boundary of the Java Trench. Got a 4.5 in, is that Iran area? Iran here, just outside the mountain range, about 10 kilometers deep here off the plate boundary. That one coming in earlier this evening, it looks like. Not a whole lot of movement throughout the Atlantic or the Mediterranean region. There is some smaller quakes being reported here by the EMSC, but for the most part, relatively calm conditions prevailing. Let's see, the Big Island, 1.9 coming in within the last couple minutes here. Got, oh goodness, we got a pretty good swarm of earthquake activity here across Kilauea Volcano. At least 35, well, 34, 35 earthquakes here on the map. All over the place across the Kilauea Volcano. So let's see what's going on. Any notifications here from the USGS? The hazard notification system here gives folks the heads up on what's going on. Here's the status report. This was put out, it looks like, well, this was April 11th. Is that right? Yeah, April 11th, so a couple days ago. You haven't really put anything out here for the earthquake swarm that we're seeing. That's kind of odd. Let me check out the area. Of course, Kilauea is still underneath the yellow advisory here, even though it's definitely not erupting, according to the USGS. But I do want to see. This is a mess of data here. Let's see what we got. Let's not go into that. I just want to check a couple seismograph stations here because it looks like it's pretty active. So here's the past 12 hours of earthquake activity around Kilauea Volcano. Yeah, definitely got a pretty good swarm of activity going on here. The USGS doing a pretty decent job of listing that data. Again, it looks like it's almost about 35 earthquakes or so. Gonna watch this, see if this progresses into some future eruptions. Again, it's not erupting, but with this type of activity, this could be pointing towards an uptick in the volcano hazard here across the Kilauea area. Slight uptick here across the Pahala area as well. You guys ever bite your lip? Like last night, when I was sleeping, for whatever reason, I bit my bottom lip here, and it is sore. So if you hear me kind of struggling with some words, I'm kind of adjusting to this pain in my lower lip. It really hurts, and it hurt really bad in the middle of the night last night. But some people bite their tongue in the middle of the night just from dreams or whatever. Well, last night I bit my bottom lip, and man, does it hurt! And I can't ignore it. So if you hear me kind of struggling a little bit, it's my lip telling me to slow down a little bit. Goodness, hopefully I don't do that again. All right, let's see what else we got here. Definitely showing some uptick here across the Big Island here, folks. We'll see what the USGS has to say about it. Maybe they'll put out an update tomorrow, but for now, they don't seem too concerned with it. The Alaska area got a little bit of movement across the Cook Inlet area and up towards the Denali area. Not a whole lot, though. Not really seeing anything major popping off out here. North of Anchorage, a couple smaller earthquakes, but that's about it. All right, let's see what we have for the space weather activity. And, well, look at this list right here, looking much more active. So let's see what we got here for sunspots. These are the numbered sunspots out here, but this image right here is going to be the latest updated imagery. And goodness, it's getting very active here. We got a couple different sunspots here to watch. Let's see what we got. Looks like this one here is getting still potentially going to produce a significant flare with this type of setup that was facing Earth over the last couple days, now shifting towards the western limb of the sun. We'll watch this, though, for some further activity. A new sunspot here in the northeastern section of the sun. Looks like it may be harboring some potential as well. But I am very impressed here with this regional sunspot that stretches a good portion here of the southeastern limb of the sun. There's a lot of dynamics here, a lot of intermixing of the colors, the polarities, and I think that one's going to be the one to watch here as we head into the next couple days. It looks very promising. Notice all these magnetic lines. There we go, spit it out. And the bright features out here, a little bit of flaring popping off. So we'll watch that here over the coming days. 95% chance for a C flare, M flare at 40%. X flare at 5% chance. Now these are just your standard flare threat levels, but these things can blast off an X flare. Looking at that type of setup up here in the polarity of the fields, that's going to be 3276 as a whole. And again, there's another newer sunspot developing around that looks fairly promising as well. No major coronal holes facing us. No major CMEs have been produced, so there's no threat of any auroras up at the higher latitudes for now. But goodness, quite impressive. Looking at these current solar flare activities, kind of popping here a little bit with some consistent C flare activity. But notice that little uptrend, it looks like, over the past couple days. Nothing major, but again, these things could pop up out of the blue. Definitely have to watch that. All right, Storm Prediction Center here. Current day 1 forecast. This looks like, what is this for? Is this for Friday? Valid for Friday. Is this right? Click on day 1 and it goes to this. So that's a little odd. I wonder if they're still just kind of This is Friday's. It looks like. So current day one's still going to be for right now. But for Friday forecast, not a whole lot of severe weather potential. We got a very slight risk of severe weather, and mostly due to just some hail around the Wichita, Kansas, Topeka, Salina, Manhattan area, Hutchinson, all in Kansas, a beautiful state of Kansas that I hope to call home one of these days here, and absolutely love that area. But for the most part, guys, severe weather potential, not all that promising tomorrow, which is probably good news for most people, right? Day 3 on Saturday, a larger slight risk here across the area of Arkansas down into Louisiana. But it doesn't look like there's anything major set up here for any large damaging, like tornado outbreak. Things look fairly minimal for now. We'll definitely continue to watch that as we're getting into that very active season. Weather models here for the West Coast. I do want to kind of point out here what's going on. Everything looks like it's loaded, so we're going to shoot this into motion here, see what we got. We are warming up here into the mid-70s over the next couple days here in California, but it looks as though we do open up that storm door roughly around the 18th of April, and looks like that's going to be unsettled here over the next couple days following that event. I'm not really seeing any major storms setting up here across the West Coast, which is, we've had a crazy winter. We should be easily sunshine and mid-70s all the time, if not 80s and 90s. I think we hit 92 this time last year, and we've just barely broken the 82, 83 degree mark one day. So it's been a rather cool, wet winter out here for the West Coast, and I'm definitely not going to complain. And see if I can bring up the drought map here for California. This is actually pretty impressive here. A majority of California is no longer in any type of drought. Look at this. Bay Area, Southern California, all throughout my region here where I live in the Sacramento Valley. Nada. Zip zero. We are sufficiently out of the drought. And when they do these little updates here, they take into account many different things. Soil moisture, lake and reservoir levels, obviously how much precipitation has fallen throughout the wet season here for California, and we're doing pretty good. It looks absolutely awesome with very minimal drought at the extreme northern California area, and also down into the desert areas of Southern Cal. So yeah, pretty awesome. Good to see. Obviously, there's some areas out here across where Kansas, Oklahoma area that's dealing with some extreme drought. So hopefully this will change. There's these patterns. They come and go. We have these wet years here in California, and then it goes to drought years. Hopefully the same out here in the Kansas, Oklahoma area, Texas. This area needs rainfall pretty badly, and hopefully that will come up here in the springtime. Right now, there's not a whole lot. Let me see what we got here for total accumulated precipitation amounts here. This goes here for the next, this goes until about April 30th, it looks like. And some of those areas that are needing that much needed precipitation out here will get some, but not enough. We're talking about probably under an inch or so for those extreme drought areas. But as you head towards eastern Kansas, eastern Oklahoma, eastern Texas, all these areas always get hit with quite a bit of rainfall. And those guys are expecting anywhere between 3, 5, 6 inches or so of rainfall. But hopefully we get a little bit more precipitation out there for you folks, and we'll take that drought off the map. Here along the West Coast, here's some of the precipitation. Doesn't look like significantly too much, but any any further amounts will definitely help keep that drought at bay. All right, guys, I think I'm out of here. Have a good one. We'll catch you guys back here sometime tomorrow. I'm going to see if I can't. Man, I don't know what to put on my lip, but it hurts. It's a pretty painful feeling. What do we got here? Slight little earthquake into the Yellowstone area. I was just checking that out. Kind of interesting. Lake Yellowstone seeing a little bit of earthquake activity as we're doing this update, but I was just checking here on my side. Doesn't look like there's too much popping off there for now. All right, guys, have a good night. We'll catch you guys back here sometime tomorrow. Take care.